So the news today is that Deshaun Watson might request a trade. Not that he has. Mike Florio says he thinks he might. So let's say he does. Should the Niners do whatever it takes to trade for this guy? Jose, you start.
You have to definitely consider it. Although Mike Florio is saying something, I always take it with a grain of salt, whatever he says. But it's to say like Texans like, all right, guys, it's open market. Deshaun Watson's open. You're the 49ers. You have to consider it. But like I said in my article, I don't think they're even going to attempt to do it because we already know like how much this ego fuels Kyle Shanahan. He's the one that essentially makes the calls. And can you just imagine the backlash, how he's going to think, how he's going to feel? You had him at number 3, and so now you're going to trade the farm, the future for him. It's just mind-boggling. You already know how he cares about his image. They try to force feed all these players with his play calling, his personnel decisions. I just don't think he's going to simmer. It's an improvement. Sure, swing for the fences. I don't care how much it's going to take for the future because you get your elite quarterback. It does a lot to mask it. And personally, I think he would even be willing to stipend off some of his contract because he wants to win. And being in a good situation with a good play caller like Shanahan he's never had before, it's something I think you would consider. So I just don't think Shanahan's going to have the goal to be like, hey, let's just trade after him. Even though we just had him, would be openly saying, hey, we messed up. We shouldn't have drafted Thomas. We messed up that whole first round of 2017, a good portion of it, for a matter of fact. So I just don't think I see him. Just having the stones, having to put his pride aside and just making that call.
I hear you. Nick, what do you think? Should they do it? This is your topic, by the way. You were like 2 months early on this.
Yep.
Texas fans were like, he hasn't requested a thing, and you're like, wait for it.
They were all. So here's the backstory behind it. Sterling Bennett, he works behind the scenes at 95.7 The Game, runs the 49ers All Access Pod. Had me on his podcast, I want to say late November, and he asked me, should the 49ers trade for Deshaun Watson? And I said, you trade a minimum of 3 first-round picks for quarterback talent like Deshaun Watson. I don't care if the 49ers had an opportunity to draft him in 2017. This is your opportunity to make things right. Will Kyle Shanahan trade for Deshaun Watson? Who knows? But should they? Should he? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you look at what you'd have to give up to jump from 12 to 2, it's probably around the same draft capital as what you'd have to give up to draft Deshaun Watson. Why? I'd prefer Deshaun Watson. He's a proven franchise quarterback. If you draft a rookie quarterback, you have him on a rookie deal, you have the cap flexibility to add weapons. But if you have a guy like Deshaun Watson, he makes your weapons better. He's your quarterback for the next 10 years. So, yes, I'm trading 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson, probably even more than that. You don't have to worry about the quarterback position for a decade. And it's time. If the issue is Kyle Shanahan not being able to swallow his pride, there's something wrong with that. And that's something that needs to be acknowledged. So absolutely, I go all out for Deshaun Watson. 25 years old. Come on.
I think Watson for 3 first-round picks is definitely worth it. I think he's a top 6 quarterback in the NFL, especially when he gets fully away from the Bill O'Brien system and gets a better GM because he has one now. He has an actual GM for his team. But I don't see the 49ers being able to get him for just 3 first-round picks. I think it would be 4 and 6 elite picks, meaning 4 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks, 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks, something like that. You don't just trade a franchise quarterback. What head coach would want to go there and start over unless you're a guy that gets a long leash? Like if you're Eric Bieniemy and you're guaranteed 6 years like Kyle was when he first came, then yeah, I could see maybe a trade happening. But if you're a guy that has to win within 3 years because you have that franchise guy, why would you give that up? Because you're just hoping one of those picks ends up being half of Deshaun Watson.
It's true.
That is true.
I think we're all in agreement that getting Deshaun Watson's a great thing as far as his talent and what he brings to the team. The issue really is what you're giving up in order to get him. And if it's a deal similar to, it sounds like it's a deal where it's going to be like, kind of like what Dallas did back with Herschel Walker years ago, where it's going to be a boatload of picks. And if you have to do that kind of thing, the 49ers aren't in a position where if they give up a ton of draft capital, that they're going to be ready they'll be able to contend. I don't think, in next year or two. They don't have enough depth, enough top level players around that, especially on the defensive side with what they're going into this year. I just don't see it being something that would be in their best interest.
Yeah, it's just a shame that they didn't draft him when they had the chance. They could have had him. They could have had Mahomes. It would have been perfect. And they really are great. I understand why Niner fans would say, yeah, whatever it takes, get him, because it's hard to get that guy. But to me, what is the Mech saying? I can think of 3 first-rounders on the team I'd trade for Watson in a second with this team's 1-round track record. Go for it. I understand why Niner fans feel gung-ho about this. But I'm with Jack. I would be very, very careful. To me, that's kind of like a basketball way of thinking. Like, you got to get the superstar. It doesn't matter. Get them at all costs. Football's different. You're not one of 5. You're one of 25 starters. And if you have to can anyone think of a Herschel Walker trade that worked out for the team getting 1 player?
The only thing I could think of in the last couple of years is Khalil Mack for the 2 first-round picks. But even
2.
that,
We're talking about the Raiders, though.
Yeah. 2, I'm talking about 2, not 6. Or not 3 plus.
And he wasn't under contract before that trade, correct? He signed it after he was traded, so it's different.
I mean, so it's enticing, but I don't see any historical precedent that would lead me to believe that it's the right way to go. I mean, I know you want Deshaun Watson, but it depletes you. I don't think you can put the team around him.
To counter what you and Jack are saying about the 1 player, the NBA method of going for a superstar, this is the quarterback position, the most important position in sports.
You're right.
You look at Russell Wilson, you look at the Seahawks roster around him, you're like, how is this team even competitive? There's nobody really around him. Today they have Jamal Adams, you have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, but over the last several years, there's been no one around Russell Wilson, and Deshaun Watson has that ceiling where he makes you a contender each and every year. You don't need to have a bunch of Nick Bosa's and all these other studs all over the field if you have a player with that high of a ceiling that's going to keep you competitive year in and year out. That's why I give up 4 first-round picks. I'll go 4 first-round picks for a guy like that.
But Nick, he went 4-12 this year.
I'm on Grant and Jack's side. That's why I mentioned I'm hesitant. I see Nick's point. I definitely see his point. Elite quarterback does mask a lot of deficiencies, but
He's elite. He is elite.
I feel like if you do this, if you do that 3 or 4 plus round picks and whatever extra you're going to throw in there, you're going to pretty much have the Houston Texans in 2 years as a 49ers.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
That's why I think that's why I say like, hey, I'm hesitant. But also I don't mind swinging the fences, but I say like I'm hesitant to that. Like I just say just be really careful. That's why I mentioned some articles. So
it's an intriguing topic.
It's intriguing, and I don't think I would necessarily like kill the trade. I would just kill them for saying like you guys had him at that point and you just let him walk, and now you want to get him. So. Yeah.
I'll put it this way. They need to have a very long meeting and talk this through. They really need to spend like an entire day talking this through, because it's the most important decision maybe of the offseason, especially if he actually requests a trade and pulls a Zach Wilson and says, I kind of like the Niners. Are you prepared? What are you going to do? What's your plan? I don't know.
And he's not that expensive from a salary perspective either. He's actually it's about I think about $10 million this year or 15, somewhere in that ballpark. So it's a good savings 15. On the cap. So, but
that's 1 year. Then after that's I think 2022 would be like, all right, we're the Houston Texans.
It's 40.4 in 2022.
Yeah. I just think draft picks are precious, but some people think they're overrated. They got to make that decision. If they get Deshaun Watson, I guess I would tip my cap. That would be that would be a blockbuster. I don't think they're going to pull it off, but
he's not going to get traded. Come on.
On that, if it's with Watson's that important to their winning, how many pieces are the Texans away from competing next year if they get the right coach? They didn't interview Eric Bieniemy. I don't know why, but if they get the right head coach, get a receiver. There's a lot of good receivers on free agency. If they fix their defense, it's not like they're that far away. 2 years from now, they could be maybe not Chiefs level contender, but a decent contender.
And Nick, we kind of all ganged up on you in this one, but you did a great job making that. You did a great job making the argument, and I'm not saying you're wrong. We're just being conservative and basically lame. So I appreciate
What do you mean? I said I see his points. I said he makes sense. I'm
talking for myself. I'm speaking for myself.
Yeah.
It'd be great if they got him. I just don't think the Texans would do it.
Yeah, I think they're going to hold on and drag their feet. Why would you? It's just not okay, anyway.